everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm super happy to be here today, bringing you another Flip Through Friday with the flip through of my latest journal, the Eccentrics. So this journal just kind of came to me from I don't know, I've had it in my mind for a while, and I then saw this beautiful, hilarious photo of these actors from the silent film movie era, kind of, and I just thought it was such a great picture. It had to become the cover of a journal. So he's kind of haphazardly holding her over the banister, and I love the carpet on the stairs, and we've got this taxidermied deer up here that's just on the wall for some reason in this doorway. I just thought the whole thing was great. So I backed it on this fun old black steno pad that I had, and I also added a journal label here to the bottom with some silver paper in here and a little silver eyelet closure with some vintage seam binding. And on the spine I used more of the stairwell from the same picture, so the stairs continue there. There's a brad on each end that is hidden inside the hidden hollowback spine. This is a 5 signature journal on a nice black book, and let's jump into it. So I think I made this statement the other day, I've heard this saying about the only difference between being eccentric and just out of your mind is money. And I thought that's so true and funny. And so, yeah, it's kind of a guiding principle in this journal. I also did this little kind of stringy bit here just inside the hidden hollowback spine. I just thought it looked kind of cute. And in this journal, there are themes of, well, first of all, boiled book images from these old films, and also outsider art, generally kind of strange things that I just found intriguing. Some vintage stuff, I'll just kind of go through it. It's grungy. It just has its own kind of aesthetic. It's hard to explain. So the end papers are these beautiful scrapbook weight papers that are alcohol ink, and in these very moody colors of purple and black. And then the pocket here is made with an authentic 1950s photograph of these two women sitting on either side of a cannon that would have been used in wartime, and I thought it was an eccentric feeling photo to go kind of on the front here. And then this is a little journal tag that I made. It says, "A long forgotten story, a whisper," and it's collaged with some grungy book spine. I added lots of book spine in this book. I'm just really in love with the feel of book spine and the overall look of it. So here we have a boiled book page of this lovely woman, again, the old actress, and she's in this really nice hoop skirt, and I've put some grungy coffee dyed lace on the side here. Then we have this pockety kind of tuck spot that it says Diary 2 Part 1. And we have a postcard of Pee Wee Herman. He's one of my favorite eccentric people. And some, the paper, the sort of plain paper in this journal is a grayish blue and mauve marble dyed kind of paper. It's really fun. I've got this technique I've been using to make this paper, and I really like how it turns out. And this is cabbage dyed paper, and this is just a little clip here. It says, "If weans air, pages of history written about us, zines, books, all our country, that." And it's just kind of a snippet of old writing that's kind of grungy, and this just pops up. It's a fun little piece of writing area. This is some really nice grungy coffee dyed paper with a nice tab made from book spine stitched on with this beautiful blue paint. And more of that paper. And this is a little collage pocket with some fabric, an old Will cigarette card, and it's on some actually 1850s ledger paper. Then you'll also see some Cirque du Soleil in here. Eccentric actors from Cirque du Soleil always the costuming. I have a couple of friends who work with that production, and I just am always over the moon about them. So this paper is actually from one of their books, and this is is it Gina Lola Brigida, I believe, photographer. I believe like she's been an activist politician. She's this really incredible woman, and this is one of her photography kind of assemblages, and I just love the little girl lying on the ostrich's back. So journal card. This is looking for, there's some little hand stitching here and some machine wild stitching, and the other side of that fun paper. And this was from a children's counting book, and I just liked the eccentricness of these very shocked bunnies. This was from a photography book, and I'm just so inspired by this doll suit. It's so cool. More book spine, and this is a beautiful studio image of an old camera. And this is a little measures and conversions kind of snippet chart that I made a tuck spot. There's a few of these little write-ups inside the book from a book called British Eccentrics. That was just a really cool book that I read a while ago, and I wanted to use it for journaling. So this is a little snippet about Julia Margaret Cameron and an image of her there. So just different eccentrics, British eccentrics, just the kind of first page of their story. It's not going to be like a whole story about them, but a little intro to who they were known as. And then if you want to learn more about them, you can look them up. This is some vintage ledger from a ledger book that has the dates from February to December across. Name, number, name, post office, county. This is just a little lady here. This is from a photography book, and she's got her groceries, and I just wanted to keep her there because she felt like she belonged. A little pocket with film roll and graph paper, and there's like a car. This is also from a photography book, from an old negative. And then this is just some fun, like outsider art, linear style pencil or like pen and ink drawing. And I just thought it was really cool. So I made a journal card out of it. This is some eco-dyed fabric, and this is from a stamp book. Up here we have some grungy book spine that I made a tab out of, and this is a little label here. On this side we have a folder label and some wild stitching. Then we have this dyed paper, and I've done some stamping here of these little dates. And this is a boiled book page that it just had to go in the center. It's so lovely. And then another little date on the dyed paper, and I inked around the holes and did some wild, little drawings around them. And the other side of that photograph, and it says The Wonderful Land, and that's from an old book. And then a little tuck spot down here of this guy wearing a spacesuit kind of thing for no reason. It's like an art kind of installation, or photography installation in front of these things. I'm not sure what they are, in a field. And then this says sketchbook covers, and it was from an art and photography illustration-y kind of book. And these are the covers of some different artists' sketchbook covers. And then some old ledger paper. And it tucks over here. And a little texty pocket on this fun photography kind of collage. I love her face. And this is an interesting, so this is from the British Eccentrics book, and it talks about this guy, I think his name is William Sykes, and he was one of the eccentrics they talked about, who was very rich but very difficult. So from a court case that he was in, this is a little bit of what was written about him in the transcript, the less easy to remove because there are certain technical difficulties in the way of a direct prosecution for forgery. On the other hand, her husband is presented to us as a man of helpless eccentricity, utterly unable to make any rational use of his vast wealth. His appearance in the box was pitiful. The main charge made by the witnesses against him, namely that he was a vacillating and ridiculous person whose memory could not be relied on, was largely corroborated by his own exhibition in the character of a witness. He dealt with the court and the opposing counsel in a way which suggests that he must have been a very difficult person to deal with in private life. The judge described him as an obstinate and extremely whimsical old gentleman, and that epithets are not extravagant. As to the household affairs, the evidence is in conflict, and there is no reason why we should seek to unravel the mystery. Lady Sykes declared that this curious millionaire, and then it leaves, so you can look him up. I just thought it was a funny little write-up, a totally biased kind of write-up about a court case. So a little snippet of fun nature-y dictionary there on this beautiful sprayed paper. And this is a pocket, and we have this nice rusty old bulldog clip up here, and that just clips on. And we have more of the staircase from the spine and the cover of the book. This is some x-ray film, and I just made a little notebook with some packaging paper and fun book page sort of fly paper that is blank, and that just tucks on up here. It's all zigzag stitched together at the top to make like a little pop-it notebook. Some more book spine. This is from a photography book. I just loved the image. I thought it was really cool. More of my paper that I dyed. A belly band that I collaged here with some old 60s yearbook. It says, "You are no longer the Harlequin. You have become the wizard." And there's some handwriting, a snippet, and an owl. And this is a journal card of this man with his head in this giant bubble. And I just love it. And it's on some of that Cirque du Soleil booklet paper. And a little card here. This is actually from Tim Holtz. And then this is another Lola Brigida image from her photography book. And I've just added some grungy book spine up there to make a tag. And then some more of the coffee dyed paper. This is just sort of a collage page, and I use like a photography page, and there's some little trinkets down here. It looks kind of, this says "Speak Your Place," and it's kind of an eccentric little desk photo. Cabbage dyed paper up here. "There is no excellent beauty that hath not some strangeness in the proportion." A quote by Francis Bacon. And this guy is like digging in a dumpster and pulling out this big pharmacy like LED light sign. It's from a photography book. More of my dyed paper, a collage page with silver paper, cabbage dyed parchment, grungy book spine. This is a boiled book page, sort of this woman in Egyptian costuming from an old film. These are Cirque du Soleil characters, and I added some grungy book spine that's stitched on there. It's more from Cirque du Soleil, and more coffee dyed paper. This is some boiled book page that I turned into a journal card. Did some fun stitching here. This says "The First Day in the Wilds," and it's from an old book. And you can see the beautiful markings left behind from the plants. And then back here, this is a 1960s yearbook. We have glasses on this guy. We have a heart around him, and under her it says "You will shine," and there's a little sun. And I've stitched some lace on the side of that one. And a little arrow pointing down to this guy with his eyes closed. And also, each individual here, these people are just so charming, from 1969. Another boiled book page. And this is a tarot card. If you're a John Waters fan, this is Divine, the actress Divine. It's a postcard. I got this in Maryland, actually, at the Seneca Cannery, not the Seneca Cannery, Bayside, which is like basically become the postcard ladies shop now, if you've ever been down there. Yeah, it's cool. And this is some nice silver paper, and this is a little tuck spot made from a Cirque du Soleil actress. And this is another Lola Brigida page of these fun white doves, and I've stitched some fabric up there to make this tag. And then just a fallen tree in the forest. And I felt like there was a little bit of symbolism there, because to be the eccentric or be the different one, you're just going to do your own thing. Some vintage writing paper, just lined paper with some boiled book on the tab. And then a boiled book page here. You can see these fun leaves. And then I just added some 1960s yearbook here to make like a sort of tuck spot, like a belly band. And then this is about Caribou. So she was another British eccentric. And just stick her little description in there. And then the center is just this beautiful illustration of this old home that's been boiled through the boiled book process. A little tuck spot here. This little eye, more leaves showing. And then this is a fun tag. Can you see him? This guy right here whose makeup and clothing and everything, it's all been green screened to look like he's a part of the background. It's from a photography book. And this is also just a fun little page from a photography book. And then I made this collage pocket up here. It says layers of reality. We have these butterflies, little clocks, and some book spine. Here we have a little snippet from a book that says, the sun was sinking toward the waterline. The forest among the uneven coast was merging into one vast green shadow. The waters were growing blacker and blacker, and yet the row of canoes continued. And then this is from a book that Yoko Ono wrote, and it's all her little, just these little poems. It's called Grapefruit. And so the poems are Daisy Talk, Wink Talk, Wind Talk, and Shoot 100 Panes of Glass. And I won't read them. I'll leave them for whoever may want to pick up this journal. Silver paper, more of my dyed paper. This is another pocket upper tuck spot with fabric with Lola Brigida's photography, Gina Lola Brigida, and then some more boiled book leaves. And then this little journal card is made from an authentic 1950s photo of this little boy on this adorable horse. And it's just stitched on there. And then here we have someone doing something weird out in the desert or something. Just a very eccentric person. And this beauty here, she is a classic film actress, and this is from my boiled book process. Another journal card from the boiled book, and you see the yellows and all the fun striations. It says, in deeper wonder than before. And then we've stitched on some fun trim there, and book spine, more of my dyed paper. And this is a little pocket that says all the world is staged, and it's just been collaged with some yearbook, more yearbook. And this is another fun little like illustrators kind of sketchbook page, and I love this one because it says meat pants, and this guy literally has meat pants, and this guy is just saying duh 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 duh. And this says it's hammer time, and there's a hammer, and for those of you who know about MC Hammer, you will have a giggle. This is also from a fun photography book. So this guy's all covered in moss, and you can see these tiny little sheep there. That's like a big journal card. And some more grungy coffee dyed paper. And this is Philippe from Cirque du Soleil, so that tips up. And down here we have some little stars. And the reason is because over here we have him looking up with this big cannonball stomach. You'll see him again, and it says some very strange adventure. So he's looking up at those stars. And then just a boiled book page where you can really see the rose leaves. And this beauty here, also in the boiled book with some grungy book spine and avocado dyed paper. This says the night and the morning. It's from an old book. This was some underwater photography from a photo book. And this woman running through a doorway. This was like basically like an artful discussion on the idea of giving up on something, like being able to jump out a window or to run through a doorway to end whatever it is that's like troubling you, like not in a life-ending way, but like metaphorically speaking. So that's what that exhibit was about. And this is another Lola Brigida picture, and this is some book spine and a little label from Tim Holtz. And then I took this from a vintage fashion book about pants, and I just love her whole ensemble, and stitched some fabric up there and made a tag. And more of my dyed paper. This is from a blue line folder, and I just liked it. I put it on some boiled book page. This is a piece of Tim Holtz paper, and just made a little journal card out of it. And this is from an old film star boiled book page, more of my dyed paper. This is an actual x-ray film. Hopefully you can see in the light against this paper. This is actually a rib cage of my friend's mom, because people give me things. This is a landscape from a photography book with some dyed lace down the side. And then we have the sky here, some vintage ledger paper. This is actually a winding river. I forget what river, but it's also here. So two different depictions of it. And then we have this center fold of this lady who is welcoming a pig to her handbag house. And that's from a children's book. And some more vintage ledger. And just a lovely scene of the desert and the mountains. And then this little pocket of these kind of very la-di-da people. And this is from an old fashion magazine about pants. And see these cool bottoms of the pants? They're like round. I just loved that. I thought it was cool. The other side of the X-ray film. She's fine, by the way. She just had a little cracked rib. Some dyed paper. Another old Hollywood star. More Hollywood stars just enjoying their time outside. A tiger, because tigers, right? It's from a National Geographic. And I've stitched some of my fabric collage as a tab on top. And we have this baby here reaching for a book off of a shelf called Mode d'Emploi. Oh, I just realized that I need to probably cover that up. We'll talk about it another day. It's a slightly offensive book title. You can cover that up if you adopt this journal. With your own lovely story title, maybe. This is a collage pocket. This is what happens when you use vintage books. Anyway, so this is a 1960s yearbook, and has a tab there that I've put staples in, some vellum film from 49 and Market. This is another underwater photography photo, avocado dyed paper. This is a lovely Dali image, Salvador Dali, and I've put some lace as a tab on the side. We have another fun desert photography image, and this is from a fashion magazine. This woman with these beaded pants, and she's there with a camel. Okay. And here we have another page with these beautiful birds from the Gina Lollobrigida photography book. This is more of my dyed paper. A little pocket made from the 1960s yearbook, and I just stitched some gold ribbon there and layered it with some fun black paper. And this is more of the Cirque du Soleil paper, and another of Gina Lollobrigida's photography collage of the little girl here in the pink flamingos. And then we just have a bit of a collage page with dyed paper and avocado paper, some fun marked rust printed fabric, and a little word snippet that says, "Each day brought forth fresh novelties, new sensations, interesting discoveries." Another little blue line folder bit here on the 1960s yearbook, and this is another boiled book page of these people all just having the time of their lives in a diner. And then a little, this says Museum, a parade of the years, a record of the past, leaves from out of record. So this is a little snippet from a book, and then this is more of the yearbook, and this is a cute little like line drawings of little people in gumball machines. And more of my dyed paper. This is a Jonathan Livingston Seagull page. It says, "Fly free and happy beyond birthdays, and across forever Ed will meet now and then when we wish in the midst of the one celebration that never can end." And then just the sky over here and some grungy book page. This is the front page of one of the books that I used to make ephemera in this book, and it's called The British Eccentric. And then this is this guy with this light bulb on his forehead here and a balloon in the background. He's from the Cirque du Soleil. And this is one of our British eccentrics, Algernon Charles Swinburne. And this one's so funny. So he's referred here, like, keep in mind, he lived 1837 to 1909, so any terms kind of politically or what have you are very different back then than they are now. So they say he was of impeccable lineage. In him, the blue blood of the Ashburnhams and Swinburnes merged to form a dubious little republican. He was born with the eyes of a god and the smile of an elf. And I just love this writing. It's great. From the outset of his life, appearances gave him away, and even the best education which Victorian England could provide only rendered it impossible to find another man brought up at Eton and Oxford who continued so unlike all other human beings. So that's him, and you can learn more about him. Just give him a Google, but I will get you started. And this is just like the desk of someone who's doing research on something. And I love this big huge ball of string and this strange like pen holder made from a giant rock and all these tiny little books. Like this just looks like the desk of an eccentric. There's like this big kind of chunk of like rock over here. I was really fascinated with it. And then we have this little bit here from a book, the yearbook, the 60s yearbook. And then this is a boiled book page of this man on a horse. Just a journal card. And that's the other side of that Jonathan Livingston Seagull page. And more of my dyed paper and the 1960s yearbook. And then these little lovelies here making up this pocket. And this is actually from a doll book, and I then collaged from another illustration book these words. It says, "When I grow up, I want to be a kid. I want to laugh and love like I always did." Little journal card and avocado dyed paper. This is just a little collage page. This says The Tiny Library, which I like. It's from an old book. It was like the advert for like other books in the series kind of. And then we have another kind of desert art sort of installation. This says The Transformation Begins. It's from an old book. This is some old fashion kind of photography about pants. All the pants are quite exquisite in this book. The book itself is just called Pants. And stitching, and that's the Lola Brigida photo here, the little girl with the swan and the dove, some grungy book spine. This is the cover from the book The British Eccentric, and I just made a pocket here on the Cirque du Soleil paper with the book spine down the side. And this is a fun collage from an illustration book. And then a little tuck spot made from the 1960s yearbook. And we have here another British eccentric. This is Mary Kingsley. She was a naturalist, like a, Victorian kind of conservation sort of person, naturalist, who also was like an anthropologist. She studied African affairs, and she traveled quite extensively collecting zoological specimens. And this is her here and her signature. And the melancholy picture of one who tried to be just to all parties, they say. The portrait of a determined and independent Victorian voyager. Another fascinating person. And more of my dyed paper. This is a fun page out of the Cirque du Soleil book. I just love him and his cool like laboratory. And then on this side, this tiny little woman, and this guy with this big like cannonball sort of belly. This is a boiled book page that was made with roses and sumac leaves. And this is a pocket made from the Cirque du Soleil book. And this is just a fun digital, and I completely forget where it came from. I printed a few random digital pages, and I ended up using none of them but this one. So I don't know. And then I stitched on some boiled book page sort of fabric that I wrapped the bundles in. And this is one of the a booklet that I made from the boiled book page. And you see all these fun marks. And then this, I got out of was this also the British? Yeah, the British Eccentrics book. A Portrait of Charles Waterton, 1782 to 1865, by Percy Fitzgerald in 1860. He is portrayed with 2 examples of taxidermy, which was his principal interest and the reason for much of his astonishing bravery as a traveler. So this would have been early days of taxidermy. And I'm happy I don't see like domestic pets taxidermied so much. I mean, I'm like, I have a love-hate relationship with taxidermy. It's weird. Yeah, anyway, so he has a bird here, and it's a cat's head. No. And then some of my dyed paper. This lady is at like a machine. I don't know. This is from a photography book. I'm not sure what this machine is for. It kind of looks like a soft serve machine, but I don't know. And just a couple more eccentrics. This guy has like a medical model of a small cow, and this person's just kind of standing in this landscaped room with this weird little like wooden planter beside her. some coffee dyed paper. This is a boiled book page. There's a skull here and here, and she's just kind of, it's a very mystic kind of feeling page, right? And we've got some book spine here, and I love her with these long eyelash shadows and the rose petals that made these beautiful marks. Cabbage dyed steno paper. This is a little pocket from the 1960s yearbook, and we've got boiled book page here, and this is a little Rolodex card that says because she wished, and we have a little woman in a window there. And then we open up to this page. So this is an interesting photograph from an old book of a man sitting on a bench, and there's stairs with a greyhound kind of staring into the sun, but then there's this terrifying little doll just looking out the doorway, this big giant tall doorway. And then on this side we have this little bit of art from 2007. That was just from an illustration book, and so was this, and I love this. It's like an ad for fake teeth. Try them on your dentist. I plan to expand my collection. Whenever I wear these things, Yoon goes crazy. She hates them, but for some unknown reason, but I can't stop myself. You got your buck teeth, one tooth missing, your basic Swiss cheese, and of course the old candy corn. Be sure to check yourself out in the mirror. Everybody needs a hobby. Just insert over the top of your teeth and wait for the laughs. I love to wear these cheap fake teeth. I buy them in a gumball machine for 50 cents a piece. They have them in truck stops along the New Jersey Turnpike. My favorite truck stop is named after Clara Barton. So I thought that was really fun. This is some cabbage dyed and waxed actually paper. This one I did little wax driplets on. I remember a long time ago I made that paper. And this is another boiled book page with some roses printed on it, grungy book spine. I love how this side turned out, and some coffee dyed paper. Another pocket that I made from the British Eccentric book, and here we have this guy who has like a bunch of little skulls in these little containers, like animal skulls, and this is from a fashion book about pants, and I just thought she was kind of cool. A little bit of 1960s yearbook up there. These guys in these really weird hazmat suits. Some more of my dyed paper. This is just a fun little kind of eccentric feeling little blue houses that have been collaged. I forget whose digital this is. It might be Sweet Pea Curiosities. I might be wrong though. And some lace. This is some rose eco-dyed paper. Another of the characters from Cirque du Soleil. He's kind of like an accordion man, and she has this fun hoop skirt. And this little kind of illustrated house is a pocket, and this says, what if by engaging our imagination and opening our minds. And then this is just some fun like art from an art book. Emphasize self-expression in a danger of being a non-traditional period decor. And then over here he has this accordion hat with Cirque du Soleil, and this is also paper from their book. And then this is a little shaker card. Hopefully you can see the shaking, the sequins here, and it says peculiar, a little boy with a horse, and it's actually a CD case and journal card on the back. And then at the end of the book here, I just kept it simple. I've added my signature and date and my little Studioloo wax seal with some fun little book pages that are in the wax. And that is the end of the Eccentrics. So if you are seeing this video, that means that this journal is headed up to my shop. And thank you so much for joining me for this Flip Through Friday. I'm happy to have a flip through on a Friday to share with you. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope that, you know, some eccentric things are happening to you, or you're meeting eccentric people, and yeah, balancing a flamingo on your head. So take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.